Ladies and gentlemen, up until now, you've seen the creature perform the simple mechanics of motor activity. But for what you are about to see next, we must enter quietly into the realm of genius. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Damen und Herren, from what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues, may I now present a cultured, sophisticated man about town. Hit it!
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Back once again.
Sketchy.
The Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast.
Sketch-O-Matic.
Episode 5 underway. I need to make a few mentions at the top of the show. One is my IG account at Sketch-O-Matic, which has been my Instagram account for over a decade. 12 years at least. I created in 2009, so that's 12 years. And 12 years of memories, my mom passing, my dog passing, my uncle passing, you know, all the projects I worked on, all the intros, everything that all my accomplishments wiped out in a second. And for what reasons, you ask? I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. Just this past week, I went to go check my Instagram and it was fine 1 minute. And around 11:30 p.m., suddenly I check it and it's saying, your account has been suspended for 24 hours due to violation of community guidelines, such and such. However, they don't list what community guidelines I violated or whatever guidelines, if any, I violated. I don't really recall what exactly it said, and I didn't take a screenshot, which I should have, because I instantly, I went right to the send security code because they let you dispute it. I hit the send code. It says it could take up to 1 minute. It shows my phone number, which I've had since the beginning before Verizon, since it was Pactel. That's how old I am. Nothing ever comes through. No security code ever arrives. So it says, do you want to send another? I send another. Wait another 10 minutes now. 20 minutes go by. No code. Request a new one again. Now it says you've requested too many codes. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Now I'm stuck. I have no way of knowing what I did wrong. I have no way of disputing it. And I have no way of telling the rest of the people that followed me and I followed this had taken place. I had to go to Facebook. I had to go to my Twitter. I went to my LinkedIn and I made a post about IG suspending me. I even was able to call Instagram, which is obviously owned by Facebook, now known as Meta. I was able to find an actual phone number on them. So I called, and it's not just Facebook. It's WhatsApp, it's Instagram, and something else. I can't remember. So I choose Instagram. A creepy female voice comes on. She almost sounds like the female version of the Scream voice.
Hello. Thanks for calling Instagram.
Hello, Sydney.
We're too busy to take your call, obviously.
She didn't say that, but in essence, that's pretty much what it was.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Thanks for calling Instagram. We don't ever take phone calls. If you can choose from a variety of options, but we urge you to go through the website, help.instagram.com, right? The support site is there for a reason. I get it. So fast forward a few days, I get no reply. I get no security code, confirmation code. There's nothing to aid the old-o-matic on how to reestablish my Instagram account, right? Which I had over 2,000 followers, which I'm very proud of. It took me over 10 years to get that, and they're all legitimate followers. I didn't pay for followers. I never paid for followers. Plus, I don't have any money to pay for followers. Speaking of money, I get a lot of these DMs back to me on Twitter, on comments on Twitter, on Facebook saying, you can hire this hacker, that hacker, this ethical hacker, this guy who's at Harvard, who's a hacker. Listen, I don't want to hire a hacker to hack into Instagram. That just it seems like it's not a good look to begin with. I want Instagram to unlock my account legitimately because I didn't do anything wrong. And if I did do something wrong, then tell me what I did wrong. I think I at least have the right to know what it is I actually violated. Or if it was just somebody trolling me and reported my account for some bogus shit and got me suspended while Instagram has to investigate. And of course, it happens right during Labor Day weekend. So there's obviously nobody in any office anywhere doing any work because everybody's on vacay, as they should be. But I'm trying to promote a podcast, which I just started. I mean, this is barely episode 5. You know, let's face it, it's a little humiliating to have to recreate and start over again. It's like being forced to, you know, I never went to college, but imagine you go to college, you do 4 years of college, and then at the graduation they go, oh, we suspended your degree, you got to start over again. It feels like you put in all this work, and then it just gets taken from you for exactly what reason you don't know. And I felt naked. I mean, let's face it, I'm skinny AF. If I was any more skinnier, there would be nothing left but glasses, shoes walking around, and a hat. That's it. All right. This second mention I want to make before we get into today's special guest podcast, episode 5. I wanted to quickly go over the new documentary on Discovery Plus that I just discovered, House of Hammer documentary series that just dropped. Oh my goodness. Army Hammer.
My bet was going to involve showing up at your place and completely tying you up and incapacitating you and then being able to do whatever I wanted to every single hole in your body until I was done with you.
Wow. This documentary is captivating and fascinating. I mean, I didn't move from my couch. I was there, and I'm like, well, let's see what's on. I'm still befuddled by the whole scenario of what happened with Instagram, and I'm not really inspired to watch any of my normal shows. I'm not inspired to watch anything new. You know, even House of Dragon. I'm like just not feeling it. I'm sad. I'm defeated. But this little quick promo, I'm like, I'm in. I dive in, and let me tell you, the first episode. Holy schmoly. I'm not going to deny the taste in women that Army Hammer has is undeniable. I mean, these women are breathtaking, stunningly gorgeous. And wow, just the rope and the bondage and the dominating. It's a lot. Even for me, and I have fetishes of my own, but none of them involve rope. That's just not how I get down. I'm not saying that it's wrong for people, but it's got to be consensual, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, especially these days. It appears that most of this shit was not consensual, per this documentary and per the victims, per the eyewitnesses.
I mean, he said, I'm 100% a cannibal. Then I get a note that says I'm going to bite the out of you.
It's absolutely fascinating, and it's on Discovery Plus, so check that out. All right, let's do this. Episode 5, kicking off with special guest from Alt 98.7, Christen Limon.
Special guest, Christen Limon.
That's right, the Sketch-O-Matic Show. It's another scintillating episode. And I'll tell you why. I'm joined today, episode 5, by none other than Christen Limon of Alt 98.7. And I was just talking to Stryker prior to this episode. I never really had a one-on-one sit-down, so this is our first sit-down as well.
It really is.
Which is, because I know you, we've talked,
Definitely.
We've shot the shit a little bit.
100%.
But not really know each other where we've gone out and, got a sandwich or something like this. This is like our first official sit-down.
A fun one, too, hopefully.
Yeah, so how are you? Thank you so much for being here on the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. I mean, how often do you do podcasts?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and even thinking to invite me and include me and have a conversation.
Course.
I really appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
I do them every once in a while whenever I'm invited on. Mm-hmm. And I always actually appreciate being on them, and I always have such a fun time because I end up having such a great conversation with the person on the other end sharing the other mic too. I'm a conversationalist, and I just appreciate a conversation, whether it's like a quick chat or a TED talk. Like, I can go all day. I could also give you a quick 5-minute little elevator combo. All right, cool. Have a nice day. See you later.
Nice. You know
what I mean? So
you're real. Definitely, you belong on the radio. You summed it all up, right? You bookended it and everything. It's just missing an Alt 98.7 at the top at the bottom. I want to get into like the Christen Limon background with you. You recently got the full night show at Alt 98.7 on KYSR, for those who don't know. Now, where did you come from prior to that? What a little bit of the radio history.
Okay, we'll start at the beginning. First and foremost, too, I think something that a lot of people might not know about me is that I never intended on landing in radio. I thought I was going to go like the medicine route, not sure specifically where, but I just really enjoyed like the thought of helping people. And
like being in the medical field, like a doctor?
Being in the medical field. I had no idea. I just knew that, I just thought, oh, medicine. That's I think what I want to do.
Okay.
I was a huge nerd in high school. Proud, guilty, not ashamed situation.
I'm a nerd too.
We're the best.
Nerds run shit.
Nerds run shit. I had like a stipend internship at USC's Institute for Genetic Medicine on their health science campus in East LA.
Wow.
I was like the only high school student in a postdoc research laboratory running my own experiment under, of course, the supervision of a doctor. So when I fell into radio, it was a major shock to everybody, including me.
How did that come to be, Dr. Limon?
I seriously had just graduated from college. And I was the type 2, again, that like switched my major a bunch of times. Because again, I went in bio-sci, I was pre-med.
You were set on this medicine thing. And was the parents behind it? Did your parents have something to do with it? Were they like, Mija, you got to go into... For those who don't know, Christen Limon is a Latina woman. And we should also point out that she's a very beautiful Latina woman.
Oh, thank you.
And a very powerful Latina woman. Mexican, correct?
Yes, Mexican, 100%.
I'm same here.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of Italian in me.
I think I do too, on my dad's mom's side.
Yeah, my dad's side, my grandfather on my dad's side was Italian. He came over from Italy, and I think that's why people tell me like, "Oh, I see the Italian in you." I go, "How?" And you go, when you go,
the face,
yeah,
the
it's like
face
I'm scrunching I'm doing the Robert De Niro face.
Yeah. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah. No.
You got a gift, my friend.
You're set on medicine. You're going into medicine. You go to USC,
UC Davis.
UC Davis. I'm sorry, and. Then you're studying. You did well, I assume.
Not for me.
No, you didn't do good. It's hard.
Did terrible. And mind you, I have always been a pretty excellent student. I was also the type that had to work really hard for my grades because I knew a lot of people that were just naturally smart. In fact, my middle brother is one of those humans that can look at something one time and be like, yeah, I got it. And I'm not like that. Like I have to look at it 100 times, take notes, study it, practice it, and then I can get it. So like I said, I was a really good student. I don't know that I was good at school, but I was a really good student. I got really good grades. I worked really hard for that. And so I was willing and ready to put in the work to become a doctor. And I had pretty good grades too. Just for backstory as to why it was like a big sign for me that no, this is not the route. I was used to getting A's, couple B's, so when I was in my first quarter at UC Davis doing all these kind of like gen ed, medical type, like chemistries and bio and all that stuff. It was just a major shock, and a good portion of it I had already studied, but there was a lot that I didn't know that was unfamiliar. I was also used to coming from a classroom of like 13 or 20 girls to auditoriums.
Was it, you went to boys and girls, I'm sorry, female, male
I went
college,
to an all-girls high school.
Oh, you went to all-girls high school?
Yes.
See, this is where, okay, so now I have to sidetrack a little bit, okay? As it's very fascinating about you wanting to go into medicine prior to radio. I want to get into what sparked the radio dive, but before that, since you said you went to an all-girls high school. I told you this the other day off podcast air, that like she reminds me, you have to know Christen Limon. I don't know what it was, but one day it just hit me where I was looking at your Instagram, right? And I was like, she reminds me of a perfect combination of that movie Almost Famous and Facts of Life. I don't know what it is. It's not that you look like anybody on Facts of Life. It's not like I can go, oh, you'd be so-and-so. Yeah. You'd be Joey or Joe or whatever her name, the girl Joe. Yeah. It's none of them. Kimber, like, it's like something about you it just cries out Facts of Life to me. I don't know what it is.
I love that.
Is that bizarre? Have you ever gotten that before?
I have never gotten that in my entire life. I've only and you know what's interesting and what I like about that is that you compared me to like a whole show and everything that it's,
It's just
kind of
as a
brings.
whole entity. It's not
Yes.
anybody in particular. It's just the Facts of Life as a series.
Yes.
And if they rebooted Facts of Life,
I'm ready.
You would be in it. You'd have to be in it because they'd have to have a Latina in it.
They
this
have
time,
to.
You know
We
what I
need
mean?
representation.
Yes. and of course, almost famous because of the sunglasses you wore in some of your posts.
Oh, yes. Penny
They're
Lane vibes.
They're very almost famous looking.
Yeah.
So it's a combination. You have like a whole thing going. It's a whole brand.
I like it. I like it. But also to kind of address what you had mentioned, was there encouragement from the parents? There was. From my mom, like she always was like, oh yeah, medicine. She was very encouraging.
Of course.
And my dad was very like, if it's what you want to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If it
like,
makes
that
you
was,
happy.
Right. That was
That's
his
very
whole
nice.
thing. So of course, in college, when I was like struggling with my grades, I was like, I can't, this is not for me, guys. And my dad was like, okay, what do you want to do? My mom, of course, had a little panic moment. Like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean it's not what you don't do? You know?
Your parents are still married?
No, they're not married anymore.
No. Were they married at the time? Okay,
yes, they were married at the time. My dad was very like, well, try other things out. Figure it out. You're not going to, know what you want to do sitting there twiddling your thumbs.
Take a risk.
And so my mom was like, okay, but like, make sure it's something you can use, So I get where they were both coming from, especially like my mom, like
that's
she
good.
was
You have
very
both
strong.
in your life, though.
Yeah.
It's very rare these days.
Yeah, very rare.
Especially in the Latino community.
1000%.
It seems like it here in Los Angeles. Myself, my
Yeah.
dad took off when I was 16, so there was really no. Well, you should try it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
My mom kind of had to play both roles.
Oh, trust me. Well, one, shout out to your mom.
Yeah.
And secondly, I definitely had a ton of uphill battles, especially when I first started radio. And I really fell into it. Like, let's fast forward 4 years
do
of
that.
Davis. I switched to a film studies major
film studies.
and then a double minor in Spanish and Chicano studies. And so I didn't know exactly what I could do with it, but I knew that I enjoyed it. And I was like, well, I'll figure something out. And I come home, I graduate, I live my best life that summer after graduation, and then I blow all my graduation money. I'm like, all right, it's time to actually like start applying and get a job.
What did you blow it on? I want to know.
Literally just just living.
Did you
going
go partying
out,
and stuff, right?
Going out, going to, breakfast, going to lunch with the girls, or-
Mimosas.
Yeah.
Bottomless mimosas.
I spent probably a good amount of it over at the Shortstop in Echo Park and, the Gold Room. They had those like a shot and a beer and tacos for $5. Say
Best
less.
combos ever. I hear you. Okay, so you do all that. Now you blow all the money.
I blow all the
not
money.
blow all the money, but you live life.
Yeah, I lived. I celebrated a whole summer.
As you shall.
And I just was like, okay, let me start applying. I must have applied to, just countless different film companies, TV companies.
So you're
everything.
done with medicine at this point.
fully
Now
done.
you're just like,
Been
I'm
done.
going to go into film.
Yeah.
And did you try to make anything?
I didn't even know that it was film. I just had always been drawn to entertainment.
Yeah, like
And-
media industry.
Yeah,
right.
and I always gravitated towards film. I've always had a deep appreciation for them, even since I was a kid. And if there was a shot in the water, I was like, how did they get that shot?
Right.
So there was a lot of things that intrigued and piqued. Like my interest was just really there. And so again, I just did film studies. I was like, I don't know, maybe I teach it. Maybe I'm a film studies professor. Who knows? I really thrived in those types of classes, picking things apart. I knew I probably wasn't going to be the type to make a movie because I lack patience, and I would rather just study it. That's where I felt like I really thrived. I was way done with being a doctor or going into the medical field.
No more Dr. Limon.
No more
Which
Dr.
would have been a
Limon.
sick name if you think about
Would
it.
have been. It still
Dr.
can be.
Limon
Hey, Doc.
After applying to a zillion places,
didn't work out.
Okay,
now brings me to this. What was the initial bite from radio that was like, oh, I should try this? Where did that happen and how? Who started it? How did it set into motion?
It was the only industry that called me back after
Really?
applying.
Okay, you applied to a radio
I
station.
applied to a radio station.
Which radio station?
It was 97.1 AmpRadio, which is now a news station,
Yes.
but back then it was a top 40 station.
And before that, it was FM Talk.
Yes, it was.
And that's where Conway was at, Tim Conway Jr. And
Yes.
Tom Likas. I don't know if you remember him.
That name is very familiar to me.
You're
anyway,
young. You're really young. Yeah.
So they call me back. They call me for a phone interview, and they totally catch me off guard. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, I listened to the station. Cool. We have a chat.
And you've never done anything in radio ever before.
Zero
what
experience.
Year is this?
This is 2010.
What?
This is end of 2010.
I had already put in 10 million hours of radio work.
When it comes to the radio world, I think I have a good amount under my belt.
You do
and then
now.
I talk to everybody else, and they have decades on me.
It's true. But you know what? There's this thing is that like you're a natural. Like even the way when you first came in here, as soon as we started getting into the podcast, you were like doing a break. And there's no music, there's no post to hit, but I can tell like that's how conditioned you are.
Yeah.
Like everything's like the energy's boom, 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 boom. It's almost like all I got to do is just have like that 311 song queued up and you just hit the post. And I'm just like, man, my job is done. But so you get called back from AmpRadio.
Yes.
AmpRadio set you up with a position. What did you apply for?
I was a phone screener, so I was the phone operator.
I started there too.
Yep. And I started they had me do every shift, but my first shift ever was for the night shift, and it was 7 to midnight, and it was that first shift that I was like, I can freaking do this forever. Like this shit is fine.
Thing.
Yeah. Well, radio in general.
Right.
I knew I wanted to.
So like it's like your eyes were open wide, huh?
It's wild.
Right?
I just couldn't believe that I could get paid for doing a job that I actually enjoyed.
Right, for like listening to music and talking to people about. So you're at AmpRadio.
Yeah.
And you're phone screening for who's on the air. Is it that guy?
It's McCabe.
McCabe.
So yeah,
yes.
which I'm still very good friends with.
Yeah.
Love Casey McCabe.
Yeah, I know Casey. I don't know him. I just know the name.
Yeah. We started, so I actually got the calls and everything end of 2010, and then I was able to start in January 2011. That was the first show shift I ever phone opted for. Great time. Did the other ones, and like immediately they were like, hey, do you like this shift? Do you want to stay with us? And I was like, yeah, 1000%.
They hired you.
And I was hired. They were just trying to figure out where to place me.
Right.
And so they snagged me up. I did nights for 2 weeks, and then I got an email saying, next week you're doing mornings till further notice.
To, like answering phone
calls.
Did McCabe put you on the air at all? Like, sometimes they put the phone screen and hey.
He did not, because I was so fresh and so new. But
did you want to?
I did. I did want to, because I saw him put his other phone op on, and I was like,
I could do better than
down.
that.
I was like, I could do that too.
Right.
But
that's so adorable.
When I did mornings, which was totally just like, again, another thing that was like, I really just fell into it.
Let me ask you, how old were you when you got hired?
I was 22.
Oh yeah, great number.
Yeah.
Great number, 22.
Yeah.
It's just like you're now really into the adulthood of being past 21. You can buy booze now, but legally. But like it's different when you get to 22. And isn't it weird how you felt like you kind of knew everything then? Right? Were you one of those? I mean, not that you were like cocky, but I kind of felt like I had it all figured out when I was 22.
That was me at 18.
Yeah.
At 18, I was like, y'all don't know shit.
Right?
Like, you're not studying what I'm studying. Like, I know all of
and
this.
And you did know shit. You were studying medicine. That's a whole different echelon of knowing shit.
Yeah, I was like, are you doing BRDU standing after school and before homework? I don't think so.
I like the nails. See the hand. I wish you listening now could see the hand gestures Limon's giving, because she has these very fantastic nails on, and they're always up to par. Always.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
It's the motions that women do when they're expressing. It's either the clapping sometimes.
Oh, I'm a big clapper.
Are you a clapper?
I'm a clapper. You could ask Booker who you know. I talk with my hands constantly.
I talk with my arms, and I'm trying to slow down with that. Obviously, I'm not doing any more arm movements now.
Good for you, because I haven't slowed down.
I'll tell you, when I was on Tim Conway Jr., I did my first interview with Tim Conway Jr. We're going to get right back to it, but I want to quickly just get into the arm movements thing. I went back to watch the video that Sharon Bellio took of me interviewing Tim Conway Jr. on his show live on KFI. The amount of arm movements that was taking place, it shot to me and it looked like I was directing an airplane right? And then they shoot to Tim and he's just sitting there still as a statue. Ding dong! And I'm just like, I look and I'm like, it looks like I'm like, my dad is letting me play radio. It was terrible. I look terrible.
At least you had a good, like, actual job to compare compare it to with the airport. You know what my hands look like? You know when you're passing a car dealership and you see those big balloon guys that are flopping all over?
That's what my body looks like, though. My
That's
body is that. I'm literally a Mr. Inflatable man.
Sail here.
I'm like a giraffe mixed with that.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
It's bizarre. It's disturbing. But yeah, your nails are fantastic,
Thank you.
and I love the hand gestures. I don't know what it is. There's something about that really is. It's aesthetically enticing.
I guess it's a Latina thing too, because I feel like every woman in my family does that. They're always like, right, dude, throwing up the hands, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess.
It's almost about to slap you. Now, as far as but go back to AMP now. So now we're doing mornings.
Yeah.
We're screening mornings for Carson
Daly,
right?
Yeah, mornings with Carson Daly. Fantastic human. I literally cannot say enough good things about Carson. Went to Santa Monica High. Even went to LMU for a hot second on a golf scholarship. I think he was on the golf team. From what I remember. Yeah.
I can see Carson as like a pro golfer.
Oh,
though.
He loves golf. Yeah. He has a golf podcast with Rory McIlroy.
The name. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But the name sounds like if you didn't associate Carson Daly with the host celebrity, it could be like, all right, now Tiger Woods going against Carson Daly on the 5th hole.
Exactly.
Putt 5 from Carson. You know what I mean? It sounds so...
It just works.
I just wanted to do that voice.
Just works. Yeah, I could tell. Good job, too.
Thank you. I'll be here until they fire me.
No, but he was so great. He was the first person to ever put me on the air, which is something that I will never let him forget.
And do you have that air check?
I have it on like my brother's old Mac, and I think we were trying to listen to it, but the loading took forever. So knock on wood, it is still there. But what ended up happening is at the time, AMP was still very new.
Yeah.
And their slogan was "Make the Switch."
I remember that.
And we would have what was called switch parties, which is basically a party at a venue here in LA, and we'd have one of the artists that we played at the station perform. Small set, but super, super fun.
Very creative.
And I had been to a bunch of them, and there was this one specifically on a Friday, and I was like, dude, I can't. I have got no energy. I've worked 6 a.m. to like 2 or 3 p.m. every day this week. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go and have to put a face on. Well, that's what they told me. That's what they told me. They're like, you can't not come. You have to come. And I was like, I don't know.
Drink a Red Bull.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, they finally twisted mine and my other coworker's arm. We're like, okay, you know what? We'll meet here. We'll go. We'll have like a drink or two, and then we'll shady dip. And so that was our plan.
Dip. I like the shady dip.
And so we get to this venue. It's in WeHo, which this was my first time also going out in WeHo, and every single bartender has a weight at the end of their wrist because the pours are the heaviest I've ever had. I ordered a tequila pineapple. It was all tequila and like one splash,
like
the
drop.
tiniest drop
like a little
of pineapple. Yeah, exactly. That's all it was. And so anyway, they snag us, our other coworkers are like, oh, get them VIP wristbands, come in this VIP area. And we're like, oh, cool, okay, yeah. And then they're like, here's some drink tickets, get some free drinks. We're like, oh my God, okay, yeah. So it was one of those experiences where we really got like all the perks of this one party.
Were you like just completely ripped?
Towards the end of the night, yes. Yeah. In the beginning, I was very excited, blah, blah, blah. And then apparently, so there's gray areas, which my coworkers were nice enough to fill in for me.
Like you blacked out?
There's a lot of stuff that I remember, but I also fell asleep because that's how tired I was.
Oh, yeah.
I fell, didn't drop
passing out.
Yeah, on a sofa in the VIP area.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the best sleep, though, is on sofas.
I mean, I didn't complain. And yeah, so anyway, it was quite the night. And I was like, I Linda Blaired all over my coworker's backseat of his car. Shout out to his girlfriend who helped me get in and out of there.
Shout out to Linda Blair.
Yeah, shout out to Linda Blair.
I interviewed her once. Not for the pod. This is like back in my Power 106 days. Okay. But I was talking about her not too long ago because of just the name. Nobody really ever compares a Linda Blair moment. I Linda Blaired.
Yeah,
that's genius.
I had that moment.
Really? So how did that turn? Cute. And this ultimately leads.
This leads to me being on the air.
God. So because of that.
Because of the whole night, I was there. I was dancing. I was, and mind you, I was wearing flat shoes. I apparently fell twice, but didn't drop an ounce of my drink, and that's what
a Mexican
I got.
Thing.
Apparently, we're not about wasting anything, not even plastic bags.
You can literally. I used to be the same way. I don't drink anymore, but I would I remember I'd trip and fall, but I would never spill.
That's a detail that everybody kept harping on. They're like, Limon, it was so impressive. You would fall so gracefully and you had like a full drink. Nothing spilled.
It's like a ballerina.
I guess. A very non-graceful drunk ballerina.
Exactly. So this whole moment, it snowballs into you getting onto the air with Carson?
Yeah. So the coworker whose car I threw up in hit him up and he was like, your phone op really partied on Friday. And he was like, what do you mean, at the switch party? And he was like, yeah. Gave him like the breakdown of what happened. And he was like, we're talking about this on Monday. So we go on, we talk about the whole thing, we all laugh, and I'm also learning stuff. They're like, you made out with the gay stripper. And I'm like, what? Oh my God, I don't remember that. And
I want footage. I'm going to dig for footage of that.
Good luck. Share it with me if you find it, because I'm interested too. Anyway, we talk and it was great. It just felt so natural. And and that's
you mean making out with the gay stripper? No.
Yeah, that too. But also that's a testament, I think, to Carson and who he is as a talent and as a personality. He just is so good at making you feel so comfortable. Right. So I feel like that had a lot to do with my ability to just like.
And Carson didn't see any of this in person, right?
No,
he wasn't there.
He's a family dude.
But was he at the event?
No, he wasn't even there. He was, he's very, very big on family.
Right.
And he would come to some events, but he was just
he wasn't at that particular
he wasn't at that particular one. Right. And so anyway, after that, our producer had come to me and she was like, hey, you sounded really great. Carson really loves the way that you sound on the air. So let's, we'll see if we can do this some more.
Wow.
And so at that point, I was just like, hell yes, I knew I could do this. Like,
did you start getting hit up from like your friend? Oh my God, I heard you on the radio.
Yes,
girl.
I did. And that was wild to me because
damn, you get fucked up.
Yeah. They're like, sounds like Limon. And I'm like, wow, thanks guys.
Wow. Did any of your family work in radio or TV or media?
None.
Nothing.
Zero. I knew zero people in this industry. And in fact, it's funny that you say that because I remember when I was in my first year probably in radio and I was being trained to also be a board op, and the guy who trained me, who is also still a good friend to this day, he was like, so who do you know here? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I know you. And he's like, no. Like before getting here, who did you know here?
Nobody.
And I was like, nobody.
I got called back on a whim. Yeah. It's a fascinating story, intriguing, that you go from medicine to film and you switch majors, you graduate. And let me also back it up with a two-parter to this question. If you would have never gotten into radio, Miss Limon, what career path do you think you would have chosen?
I think I would have eventually found my way here. If I went the film route, I think I would have probably gone the route of being like a film studies professor. Because I do, like I said, like earlier, I do really enjoy and appreciate films on a deep level.
Do you have a certain specific director that you're all about?
Ooh, I have a few. I love Quentin Tarantino. His passion and fascination with film is really, I would say, even unmatched.
Do you think he's going to stop making movies?
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows that answer, not even him. I think if something is kind of lives with him for a while and he feels that inkling to do it, even though he said, well, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is going to be the last one.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think that if something comes to him, it's got to be good. Yeah. It's got to be like, him, like he's got to be in full control, and I also love his soundtracks. He's got,
I love the way he talks. Yeah. I like when he's like, all right.
He's like a nut, but I'm like, I'm fluent in nut, so I get it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Limon. No. All right. Yeah. I need some hash. I need hash.
Yeah. I love what you're doing here.
I love what you're doing here. What's the favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? If you had to only go with one, which would it be? I take it you've seen them all.
Yeah, probably Pulp Fiction. Yeah. That's just one that I can watch whenever, wherever. I mean, I love them all. I also love Reservoir Dogs. I love Inglourious Bastards. I love Jackie Brown. I mean, they're all really great.
Yeah, Pulp is one of the best, if not the best, of Quentin's.
I like how he intertwines the characters from different movies.
Yes.
Like the Vega Brothers. That's the movie that I want to see. Is like, tell me about the Vega Brothers.
What's the Vega Brothers?
Well, because Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, and then in Reservoir Dogs. That's the other. What's his name's? It's And I just saw
Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown.
It's
They're
definitely
all
not
like
Mr.
the
Pink,
colors,
but
right?
yeah. But one of them, his last name is Vega, and I'm like, and he's like, "How's your brother?"
Vincent Vega, right?
Yeah, so that's his brother.
Hey, Julius.
technically. Yeah.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Can you do any impressions?
No, I'm not a good impression.
Do you do any voices? Any accents other than being hardcore Mexican type?
I love doing Southern accents sometimes. Those are my favorite. I'm also a really big fan of the British accent, but I haven't perfected it yet, so I've got to keep it going. You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that. I love the British accent.
So
Would
do
you like
I.
a spot of tea?
Yes, and a little crumpet, please.
I don't know
the
if
chocolate
this
kind.
podcast would be the same, essentially, if we talked with the British accent.
I know, it's so
Two
sophisticated.
Mexicans, two British Mexicans.
We love the Browns.
The Browns and the Crumpets.
Yes. Quite splendid.
So let's move on to another topic here real quick. The streaming platforms.
Okay.
Since you're talking about film and TV,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to bring in TV. You were talking about film, but just in general. The streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Amazon Prime. Which is your top platform that you stream from?
It's a tie between Netflix and HBO Max, for
Now,
sure.
What's your top show on Netflix right now?
Oh, dang. Okay. It's constantly shifting, but I would say if it were like a Netflix type show, I really love Grace and Frankie.
Oh, yes. I know.
Jane Fonda, Lily
Fonda,
Tomlin.
right. That's a Netflix original.
That's a Netflix original. That's what I'm trying to think of too,
Yes.
is the Netflix original. Because I like that Netflix also has a lot of like the older shows that we grew up with.
True.
So that's why I stream a lot of stuff. But Netflix originals, I also really like Ginny and Georgia. It's a
Have
little
you seen
cutesy show.
What is it? Dead to Me? With
No, should I?
Oh my God, with Linda Cardellini.
Oh no, I gotta watch
and
that.
Christina Applegate.
Oh, love Christina Applegate.
Oh, and they're like, it's a comedy, but it's like a dramedy.
Okay.
It's really. I watched the entire first season when it came out in one night. I literally I saw it pop up and I was like, you know what? It's Dead and then the number 2 Me.
Okay,
or it might be it might just be Dead 2 Me. Like
I'll look
Tito.
it up and I'll add it to my queue.
There's 2 seasons so far, but the first season when it came out, I'm not even kidding you, Kristen. Like I saw the first episode. They're only like 30 minutes apiece.
Oh,
I think.
that's dangerous territory.
Right. Because you're like, well, I could watch one more because then that's really equals to one episode at a full hour. I stayed up till 5 a.m. Then I had to come to work at 9. And I was like, and I remember telling people, they're like, man, Sketch, you look tired. And I'm like, yeah, I watched all of Dead to Me. I was like the walking billboard. Have you seen Dead to Me? You need to watch Dead to Me. I want a full report tomorrow.
They owe you some royalties.
I mean, wow.
They got some good stuff on Netflix.
Do. That was one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Ozark.
I have so
Go ahead.
I am not on the Ozark train.
What?
I don't think it's a terrible show. I enjoy it. I feel like for me, there are some shows where I can easily just binge and it draws me in like right away.
Right.
And with Ozark,
it's dark.
It didn't happen. And it's weird because it's all the stuff that I would be into. Like I got into Breaking Bad. I got into Inventing Anna or what's that? Like Maid.
You like Inventing Anna, which is Julia Gardner, right? She's in Ozark. That's what got her start.
That's how I knew. Because everybody was like, oh, the girl from Ozark.
Yeah, Ruth Langmore.
And I love
Let me tell
Ruth.
you something.
Yeah.
Marty Bird.
Yeah.
She does like this hip thing. And she does the Tennessee or the Ozark, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something, Christen Limon, or whatever fruit last name you have. It's great.
I don't know shit about fuck.
If you don't like anybody on that show, which I find it hard not to like Jason Bateman.
Oh, I love him.
Because, well, for one, he's a lefty like me.
Okay.
And I grew up watching him, Valerie's Family. Like, I remember watching him on Teen Wolf 2.
Oh, my God.
Like, he was in all these old 80s movies that I grew up to. And to see him still, there's very few of those 80s actors
that can keep it going.
Really kept it going.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch over to HBO Max. Have you seen Raised by Wolves?
No. I haven't. I just got really into Succession. That was my COVID show.
I haven't seen that. And
Succession
I want to
is
get into that.
Rich people are crazy.
I'll compare that. Succession, right? It's called Succession, HBO Max. I'll compare that to Yellowstone.
Love
Rich
Yellowstone.
People.
I love
Rich
Yellowstone.
people on Yellowstone.
Yep.
In
Crazy.
Montana.
Yep.
I just finished episode 7 of the first season, and this dude. I'm going to spoil it. Do I spoil it? It's old. This is like
been out.
Right? It's been out for like 4 or 5 years.
They're already talking about the new trailer for the new season.
Okay, well, I got to an episode where all this happens in literally less than 10 seconds. 2 people fall off a cliff, right?
Yeah.
And a dude shoots a bear in the head. Like within seconds of each other. And this is the end. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And I'm like, this just happened back to back. It wasn't like a break. It was like 2 people,
boom, boom,
one
boom.
falls, the other guy kills himself because he can't live without homegirl.
Yeah.
And the way he pushes himself off the fucking, he went
He's
like,
like, poof. Yeah.
and then the guy turns around because the bear's kind of,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yo, I gotta go do an interview. My blood pressure's up now. I'm all, and I had to Google, was any bears actually hurt on Yellowstone? And the first answer is all, fuck no.
Yeah.
You know, of course not. That show would be shut the fuck
It would,
down.
and I wouldn't watch.
But that bear they shot, it looked real.
It was crazy.
Was that an actor bear, you think?
It
Because
was-
it reacted to the gunshot.
It had to have been some type of animatronic type situation
Oh, my God.
thing. I don't know what it was.
I gotta get to the bottom of this.
But it was pretty real looking.
Yeah, it ended right there, and then I had to come here. And I was just like, I was thinking about it all
How
the
do
way
you
here.
focus?
I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
what's
can't.
going on with the bear, man?
know.
Oh, my God.
Yellowstone is great. Love
It's
Yellowstone.
great. Okay.
See, that was me with weeds because I loved weeds in
You got some
college.
weed on you?
No.
Oh, my.
I don't carry
Don't
it
tease me
around.
like that.
The show Weeds,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the first seasons were great, and then it just kind of got really freaking weird. But I was so invested in the characters,
I
where I
watched
was
all
like,
of it.
me too. I was like, I don't know that I'm following this plot because it's weird and doesn't make sense, but I like.
As a dude,
Love Nancy Botwin
yeah,
and,
that's her
and
name.
Shiloh.
What's her real name?
In real life?
Yeah, I forget her name.
I forgot.
Big brown eyes.
Parker, something Parker.
Yeah, something. And
Yeah.
I remember when I first saw her, and I was just like, well, I'm going to watch the whole thing. Like, I don't need, even if it sucks, I don't care. Like, people are like, it shows. I was like, I don't care. I could watch it on mute.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a good story.
It started
Kevin
off
Nealon's
really
in
good.
it.
Yes, he's hilarious.
Yes. And even the song.
Yeah, boxes on the hillside, little boxes. Yeah, they're doctors and lawyers.
You know it?
And business executives, and they all live in boxes, and they all come just the same, or something like that.
I'm going to play the song behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween is approaching very quickly.
Yes.
It's going to be here. Like, by the time you're listening to this podcast,
gonna
Halloween
blink.
have already passed. And now it's Christmas.
I know.
What's your scariest movie of all time? I've asked this to some of the Conway crew. Scary. There's no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah.
It's just to you. I have mine. What's yours?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I think I have two, and like scariest that will freak me out.
Even as a youth. We're talking to you as a youth.
Yes.
Young Lamone. That
Yeah.
literally kept you up.
Young Lamone.
Yeah.
The idea of The Exorcist, but never actually saw it because I had a teacher in high school who was a nun who freaked me the hell out about like demons and exorcisms and stuff, that I was like, if I watch this movie, a demon is going to think that I'm allowing them to like overtake me.
here.
And I was like, nope, hard nope. I'm not watching it. So I would even give it to that because it was so scary that I didn't even want to watch it.
So you haven't seen any of The Exorcist?
No.
I saw the first one as a kid, and then I saw the director's cut years later. And the director's cut was even crazier.
Oh, no. I can't do that.
I don't understand.
No.
I can't.
Did you do that? Do it again.
In time.
No, now.
In time.
Then as a kid, Poltergeist, the first one.
Never saw that.
That's a Steven Spielberg movie.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it, but I just haven't
It's an old
seen
80s
it.
movie.
Yeah.
It's now probably wouldn't really scare you, but there is one, maybe two scenes in there that really got me. And that one was the clown, this dummy clown that
hate
this
clowns.
kid had in a room. But the clown looked crazy normally. It just looked crazy.
All clowns
Why do
look
you want to
crazy.
have a clown that looked crazy sitting in a chair?
Porcelain dolls either. Get them out of here.
None of that.
I don't want any of that.
And it just, I don't want spoiler alert, but like it comes to life, you know, and it starts choking the kid out. And like it's under the bed, and the way it pops up, it was, I mean, even now I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
Even now. moving on, Christen Limon. Special guest, Christen Limon, joining me on the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. I would like to say if you're just joining us, but obviously not because you've been playing this since the beginning. But that's my radio DNA at work. Since you do the night show at Alt 98.7, what's your exact time shift on?
7 p.m. to midnight.
Does it get weirder by the hour, or are Alt listeners kind of somewhat neutral about their weirdness?
I have to say that I get the creepy DMs all the time. That's what I get. Then
instead of creepy callers, it's definitely evolved into DMs now from people who follow you, but you don't follow them. You don't know them.
I don't follow them, but they listen. They listen, and they'll like.
That's even worse. I almost take the callers over the DMs.
Oh, I will too, because I have people that will DM me every single day.
All right, what are the creepy DMs? Can we get into the details? What do we have? Not. Do we have D pics? Are people sending you D pics?
God. And if there is a photo, you can't you have to tap it
to preview
and I just won't. I'll just delete.
It's all you don't want to. You don't want to look at.
I don't need to see that.
Unbelievable, men still do that. It makes me ashamed to be a man. I mean, even the creepy DMs, even if it's not a D pic, it's never worked. Like I've never. It's like catcalling out to some female on the streets. I've never seen a woman go, okay. It's never happened in the history of women and men on this planet. Not one time did I ever see my creepy old uncle go, oh, hey, what's up, baby? You got a nice head. And then she was like, oh, do you want to go to dinner? Never happened.
Never happened. It does not work.
Right?
I will say my fiance is really good at making jokes out of it. I'll be like, oh, somebody asked if I want to be a sugar baby and they'll pay me $500 a week. And he was like, hit him back and say yes. We need groceries.
Well, I'd definitely have to take a side with fiance. I mean, that's extra income right there. Now, what do you have to do? Just send them pictures of your feet?
That's not. I know that I'll do. I'm like, nails. Should I sign up to an OnlyFans?
I mean, you probably could. If I was, let's talk about OnlyFans really quick. OnlyFans. Wow. Was it invented by a woman? Because I feel like women are dominating. They're dominating like casinos.
They really are. When I see the houses that these like women are in, and like this insanely, or what looks like anyway, a luxurious life that they live based on OnlyFans, I'm like, damn, dude, what did I do wrong? What corner did I not turn down?
You didn't do anything wrong. It's like, are you willing? And this brings me to another quick topic, and we're going to wrap it up after this, okay? Yeah. But I wanted to talk about sacrifices. Like, you have, obviously, and I didn't even really have to ask, because you essentially started off by saying how you got into medicine. You didn't feel that. You got really far into it. You would have been Dr. Limon in some degree or another. Yeah. But you decided to go into film. So you sacrificed that. Yeah. Right? Then you sacrificed the film thing because, well, you got shit-faced and it turned into a job on the radio. Yeah. I mean, let's just face the facts. That's
really what it was.
Right? I mean, but how beautiful is that? All these sacrifices that you made, right? Even though maybe you really didn't want to. Yeah. You didn't want to pursue the medicine thing. You wanted to pursue something else. So, but still, you sacrificed a sure thing, pretty much sure thing, because you had gotten so deep into it. Yeah. You took the training wheels off. Yeah. You got your degree. And then you got into radio, and then kind of a miraculous accident happens where you kind of black out, you fall asleep on a sofa, it turns into a whole on-air event, which I know a lot about, where you do something crazy and then it turns into something else, and then that turns into, it's like it snowballs. Exactly. Any sacrifice you really felt like you had to make on the way up to where you are now?
Oh, I made a ton of sacrifices, and I feel like that's what doesn't end, and that's what maybe a lot of radio people don't share, or maybe radio people who came into it like, a little later on in the game. I still make sacrifices, like a ton, especially when I first started out. Like, there was a lot of family weekend getaways that I didn't go to because I had to work on the weekends. There's a lot of
weekender, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of holidays that I couldn't participate in. Christmas morning when my family's all waking up, opening presents, I'm at the station playing Katy Perry, and
they didn't let you voice track it.
I was just a board up at the time too. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was part time, and I got paid peanuts, and I had rent to pay because I've just always been very insanely independent, and I don't like asking for help, which is like my toxic trait, one of them. Yeah. And so even when I moved out at a young age at 22, like that's all my checks, my first checks from radio. I didn't spend a cent than gas, because I was commuting from San Dimas all the way to like mid city, which is a trek and a half, and for mornings. So meaning I had to wake up at 3:45 in the morning just to like get ready eat something,
that's sacrifice.
and get in the car, and with LA traffic, get there by 6. Like, that's the time I had to wake up in order to get to work by 6. And then that drive back, and then you're not making nothing, and everything's going to gas or insurance or whatever.
Could you imagine if gas prices were there?
I wouldn't be able to afford to be in radio.
No way.
No way. So yeah, there was a lot of missed events. I've missed girlfriends' bachelorette parties because I couldn't afford to go.
Well, let me quickly say this, because I know you got to get going, and I don't want to hold you on too long. I could talk to you for another 17 hours. I could talk radio shop with you all day and radio history, but I want to come to the whole sacrifices and the whole OnlyFans thing and the connection I want to make, is I feel like you could make a shit ton of money off there, Christen Limon. You could do it, but it comes down to, are you willing to sacrifice, like, your, I guess, is it dignity? You know what I mean? What is it? Because these women are sacrificing something in order to gain this. Because there's always a consequence, always a payoff, always something.
I don't even know to them that they see it as sacrifice. I think they're just so willing for the cash flow that they don't mind. And like, for me, I mean, it's not dignity or it's not integrity. It's the entitlement that people who are viewing this stuff feel like they have when it comes to access to you. I don't appreciate that they think they can just hit you up whenever.
Like they own you.
That they own you. Yeah. Hey, I paid for you. Let me get you this. Like, you do not fucking own me. Fall back, my G. Like, no, don't.
I need a clap behind that.
I held it out my hands. I was like, don't clap, don't do it.
She was restraining.
I was. But yeah, it's just the fact that people think that they are so entitled, and that if they say jump, you have to say how high.
I hate entitled people.
And I don't like that.
LA's filled with them, too.
Yeah.
If I was a female, I probably would end up not doing it. I wish I was a female so I could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I'm like, you probably wouldn't do it anyway. You'd be like, nah, fuck that. I don't want a bunch of weirdos hitting me up.
I mean, dude, do I fantasize about like how much money could I actually bet? Sure, the thought crosses my mind. It's fun to flirt, but I'm not ever actually going to pull the trigger and do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, good on you.
It's good to fantasize. Like, even women would fantasize about being like an exotic, like a stripper. You know what I mean?
I wish I had the confidence.
Right.
I wish I had the confidence.
Well, you just put on those 8-inch heels. You'll have the confidence.
I'll trip and fall.
You already have the nails. The nails are on point. Not saying your nails are stripper. I'm just saying they're really pretty. That's
I could go with it.
Yeah. Sorry. That could have gone really bad. Quick disclaimer right there. Okay, well, this has gone long enough. I want to talk to you more, Christen Limon. Thank you so much for being here with me on episode 5 of the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. And I'm going to let you go do your radio show because you have to prep and do all these and talk to a bunch of creepy guys on your DMs offering to be your sugar daddy.
I got to respond.
And by the way, really quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't say happy belated birthday.
I
wanted to tell you that as we put out this podcast. I know you just celebrated your birthday. Did you do anything cool?
You know, I kept it very low key this year.
It's kind of a new trend, low key B days.
Yeah, it's kind of nice though.
You're not doing the whole birthday month. You're over that.
I never did the birthday month thing. I never did, honestly. I would always just, if anything, have like one big thing if it was like a monumental birthday.
Right.
But other than that, it was always just like dinner or barbecue with the fam.
And hung out with the fiance. You said fiance, so you're recently engaged. When does the big day happen?
Hopefully April 2023. But getting some venues to respond is almost like pulling teeth. And I'm like, okay, is this a red flag? Do I need to drop this dream? Like, do I go somewhere else? So, because I'm leaning towards Mexico, Valle de Guadalupe, like wine country.
And I love how you speak fluent Spanish. We never even were able to get into that too.
Into that.
Oh my God! But so you got to get, and you're getting married on 4/20/23.
Imagine.
Is that what? But that's the date, April 20th.
Just April 2023.
Oh,
year
I
2023.
see.
Yes,
I see. I was like, what? That's
that does
so
sound
dope.
like the date though.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometime in April. Apparently, the best time or the best weather in that area is in April.
And what area is that again?
Valle de Guadalupe.
And what's your fiance's name? Let's shout him out.
His name is Vincent Kinslow.
Oh, Vincent. I thought he was going to have like a really Mexican long name.
So biologically, his last name is Hernandez, or he comes from Hernandez, but his dad was adopted by his mom's husband. So he went from being Dennis Hernandez to Dennis Kinslow. And so thus, Vince is now Vince Kinslow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very eloquently said with the use of thus in it. Nobody uses thus enough.
Oh, I love thus.
Or hence.
Oh, hence.
I love hence.
I like hence also.
I'm bringing hence back.
Underrated.
I'm just saying. Christen Limon, thank you so much. And happy belated birthday and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Fun times. We got to do a part 2.
Yes, we should. Come back soon.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay.
Okay, bye.